Hello my friends, today we are here to do something incredibly important. We are going to rate every single StarCraft named character that is on this random tier list that I found on Tier Maker on the premise of how good they would be as a roommate. That's all. It's a very important thing. I've been thinking about it for a while and finally we get to do it. This is probably going to be my most important video ever. So let's jump into it very, very quickly. I guess we'll go in alphabetical order because why not? So, we're going to start with Abathur. Abathur is an interesting idea for a roommate because he is the type of guy who would actually stay in his room for the most part. He would definitely be a little bit elitist, but I don't think he would bother you too much because he never leaves. But at the same time, he would never leave. He's not a dumb guy. He's not annoying, though. He probably gets too many Amazon packages of things that are living shipped directly to him, and that would be a little bit difficult to deal with. He wouldn't be the worst in the world, but he definitely has some downsides. I'm going to give him a B tier. Alarak. Alarak is going to be our first F tier. I don't think I need to explain why. He's kind of a jerk, and besides that, he's very hostile to everybody, and he's also a jerk. He would be very awful. I have to make a thumbnail for this video, and what I'm thinking right now is that Mr. Alarak is the type of guy that's going to make you do all the dishes. It's beneath him. I think he is not exactly the type of guy that you want to chill with. This is Aldar. Oh, we got StarCraft 1 characters on this as well. That's very interesting. Aldaris. So Aldaris, I don't think he would be the worst roommate, simply because he seems like the type of guy that would keep things tidy. He would definitely be able to live in the house without causing a terrible, terrible ruckus, but he would be so judgmental of your lifestyle choices. Like, if you are not a strict adherent to the conclave, he would be very upset with you, and he would make sure to remind you of it constantly. He would pay rent on time. He would do the chores that were his. He would expect you to do the same, and if there was ever any slip up, no room for error, no circumstances, no like, oh, I got stuck in traffic, sorry, I'll go do that. No, he'd be pissed. And for that reason, I'm going to put him in a low C tier. I don't differentiate between the tiers, but if I did, he would be low C tier because I don't think he's quite D tier material, but he's definitely not great. Now, Alexei Stukov, I actually think, is going to be our first A tier. Stukov is obviously an intelligent person. He's decent to talk to. He's pretty fun. He looks a little bit weird, but for the most part, he's just a human guy. And he has, he's been shown over and over to have good relationships with other humans, which I am, and I'm envisioning him as my own roommate. I think we could get along pretty well. He drinks a lot, probably. I mean, I think he has voice lines insinuating such, but, whatever. Everybody has their vice. I think overall he would be pretty decent to live with. Amon, on the other hand, first of all, there's nothing good to say about Amon. He's too big. He would not fit in the house very well. He has a history of destroying terrain when he gets upset. I have a feeling that he would not pay rent. I have a feeling he would just make everything miserable, and he would constantly complain about the infinite cycle. Mengsk. Oh, we're going through a lot of antagonists right now. Here's my hot take. I don't think Mengsk would be that bad. Like, he's a terrible, objectively awful person. But in terms of villainous characters, he is far above Alarak or Amon because he's pretty classy and he's got a lot of politeness going on as long as you're not on the battlefield with him. You know what I mean? Like, I expect that he wouldn't be a bother for the most part. You might end up having a bunch of revolutionaries showing up at your doorstep in order to, like, overthrow him or something. But until that point, I have a feeling he wouldn't be that bad to live with, so I could give him an Aldaris level C tier. Artanis. I think that Artanis has to be the first S tier. I don't see any real downside of Artanis as a potential roommate, you know? He's always going to be the type of guy who gets along with everybody. I mean, that's his entire story arc in StarCraft 2, right? He just is always everybody's friend. He's incredibly competent. He has shield generators. All the things that you want in a good roommate. Yeah, I think that there can't be too many S tiers, but I don't see a big downside in Artanis. I think that a lot of Protoss characters are going to end up on S tier. I mean, just thinking about it. Oh, is this Brack? Good old Brack. Okay, hot take. Here's my hot take. I think Brack would be a pretty good roommate. Like, obviously he's very big, but from what we've seen of him as a character, I don't think he's evil, right? Like, Kerrigan came onto the planet and started attacking all of this stuff, and he defended his pack. He has been shown to make sure that his pack is well taken care of, well fed. He's the type of guy, I mean, like, he doesn't seem selfish. You know what I mean? Like, he would come back with like big grocery bags full of stuff, and he's like, turn on the barbecue, we're having a party tonight. And it's like, all right, Brack is back. I think, you know what? I'm going to put Brack as an A tier. I think that he would be a pretty darn good roommate. He would be sloppy. He would definitely be a bit sloppy, so you'd have to clean up after him. But he seems like legitimately moderately decently caring. That he led a pack for a long time. Am I crazy? I feel like I'm crazy, but I don't think that I'm wrong. Dahaka, on the other hand, is a little bit more self-absorbed. All he cares about is essence, right? And I have a feeling that as long as you don't get in his way in his quest for essence, then he wouldn't be a bad roommate by any means. However, I do think that he wouldn't be as nice to hang out with. He wouldn't be as good of a guy. You wouldn't be excited to see what he brought home, unlike Brack. And as a result, I think that he gets a B tier. He's fairly neutral. He wouldn't be a bother. He wouldn't be a nuisance, but he definitely wouldn't be the best. This is Kerrigan. Do we have any other Kerrigan? Oh, good, we do. I don't know why this one is early in the alphabet, but maybe, I guess this is human Zerg Kerrigan? Do we? Oh gosh, there's a lot of Kerrigans. You know what? I'm just going to do this right now. I'm not going to do all the Kerrigans. I'm only going to do one. F tier. Kerrigan's personality is so inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get with her. One day to another, she is just a completely different person. It would be miserable to live with. You don't know if she's like feeling down because her boyfriend is breaking up with her, and you're like, hey, you want to go get some Ben & Jerry's and we can go watch The Office? And the answer will either be like, yeah, I want to do that, or she'll just kill you. And either way, I mean, like, she's too inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get there. And as a result, I think that she wouldn't be the best roommate. Gerard Dugal, on the other hand, I don't think he's Alexei Stukov tier, but he's definitely a classy guy. And I think he'd be pretty easy to live with. He would be a little bit too strict. You know, Stukov is kind of more like the, we'll break some rules if we have to. We'll have a good time, chill out. But I think that Gerard Dugal he wouldn't be a nuisance, but he'd be a little bit like, all right, so we have to have the dishes done. Why is it always the dishes? We have to sweep the entryway by 7:35 p.m. And if we don't do that, then there's going to be trouble. And it's like, oh, okay. Kind of like Dugal, except for a little bit less, nice to live with, because I think he's kind of more of a jerk, is Duke. Now, if we had the old StarCraft 1 sprite where a lot of people thought he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, he'd probably be firmly in B tier. However, Duke himself is not that competent, and he's also loud, and he's also stubborn, which seems like a very bad combination if you want to live with someone. Definitely the type of guy that would make sure that utility bill gets sent in and all that kind of stuff. He at least has that going on for him. He's regimented and disciplined. But besides that, I don't know. You know what? I think I'm gonna... No, Aldaris has more upsides, I think. I think these two have more upsides than Duke, which is pretty bad. Narud is interesting. Because he actually does know how to live for the most part with humans, and he's done it before. But he is also the type of person that will stab you in the back as soon as you have something that he wants, right? And as a result, I mean, either A, you don't expect it and you get stabbed in the back, or B, you do expect it all the time and it's just too stressful to live with him. I think that he actually wouldn't be the worst roommate as long as he isn't scheming against you, but you could never rule that out, and the scheme level is too dangerous, so I'm going to put him in D tier. Phoenix. Phoenix is a good boy. I think that Phoenix is going to get a very, very reasonable A tier simply because, I don't know, he's got so many stories, he likes to talk, he canonically gets along with humans very, very well. The only reason he's not an S tier like Artanis is he is absolutely the type of guy who will get a little bit too rowdy and start breaking things on accident or intentionally. So it'll be a little bit more expensive. He's also the type of guy that you're gonna have to be like, hey bud, it's the 15th, we have to pay rent, please. And he's good for it. He always is, but he's just so busy thinking about, you know, how he's going to destroy the next alien species in honorable combat that it's just not really on his radar. Graven Hill. I don't know like anything about him. I'm going to put him in C tier because I just don't know anything about him. Dr. Ariel Hansen. I think that she would be a good roommate. She is polite, she's well-spoken, she's intelligent, she definitely has a sense of discipline. She would be a pretty solid person to live with overall. I think that she's not that bad until there's another pandemic, at which point she would, on her own, with nobody else's input, and despite the fact that other people have worked on it, would try to come to a cure by building in your apartment together a way to cure whatever pandemic is happening. She will die from it, canonically, and she'll probably take you down with her. As a result, probably, I mean, if the chance of death is really high, it has to be F tier. I mean, you could play the odds, actually. I'm going to put her in D tier because you can play the odds and assume there's not going to be another pandemic. But you know what? I think that even in more minor ones that didn't hit the entire world, like the Ebola outbreak, she would try the same thing. And then you die of Ebola. So, you know what? No, F tier. Sorry. You'd be very, very nice if it weren't for the fact that you are a little bit too ambitious when it comes to your desire to cure plagues on your own. Isha would be too annoying. Like, I don't think she would be... she would be really annoying and she's not funny. You know, like, Mengska's kind of funny sometimes. He's clever. He has the ability to have some wit. And Aldaris does too at times. Isha... I don't think she would be bad from, like, a miserable, but she would be, every time you talk to her, it would just be the worst thing. And she likes talking to people. She talks a lot. So it's not like someone like Abathur who just keeps to himself and you live and let live. She would actively be in your face and have nothing of value to say. Isha's D tier. I think Jim is a nice little... So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take the full scope of a character, right? So they go through their ups and their downs in life, and you got to be able to take what you get, because you can't just assume that the end of the story or something is where it is. Because characters change a lot through that time, and a lot of people are dead by the end. And Jim has had some really rough patches that I think do give him some demerits, even though he is a real good guy, and he, for the most part, I think he'd be really enjoyable to be around. But he comes with a bit more baggage than someone like Phoenix. Or Stukov. I think that Stukov overall with the exception of the Zerg appendages, is kind of just an upgraded version of Jim in a lot of ways. Yeah, I would say that's true. I think Janara is another F tier. No, actually, I'm going to put her in D tier. Reason being is that she is an idiot and she's completely incompetent. However, she's the type of person that would be really fun to like take out bowling for the first time or something, because she'd be so bad at it. And she is very willing to try, right? She is consistent and reliably trying things in Nova Covert Ops. So I think that she might have a good spirit behind it, but she's also kind of mean. So her good spirit is like the, yeah, I'll give it a shot, not the I'm in a good mood while I do it. So I think that you could get some value from at least trolling her and watching her fail at bowling, and then try to teach her like Magic the Gathering or something and watch her fail at that too. She would just, it wouldn't be a long-term roommate relationship, but there's definitely something you could get out of this. Who is this? This is definitely one of the characters. Oh, is this Karas? Yeah, I don't know anything about Karas. Everyone that I don't know the personalities of is going in C tier, because you just can't say one way or another. I'm going to put like Mohandar in C tier as well. And you know what? We probably just need to... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. We need to add a row below. And it's, I don't know. Otherwise, it's going to be too tough. So we can put him, him, and him. All right, so second S tier, I think, has to go to the Solarite Master himself, Karax, right? Karax is, he's a nerdy little dork guy. In fact, I think he would be a better roommate than Artanis. Like, Artanis is probably a little bit too much CEO energy. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to knock him down a little bit. Artanis has the CEO energy, but like, when Karax isn't fighting, he's going to end up being a gamer. You're going to have your gaming partner, and he's very polite, he's nice, he has a good sense of responsibility, he's very handy around the house. He'd be able, like, I don't know, your microwave breaks, and he makes you a Solarite-powered microwave, and unlike a lot of other handyman type characters, his would just work really well, at which point you're probably going to end up having no electricity bill because the solar core is going to be installed in your house, right? Like, Karax legitimately, I think, would be the perfect roommate. What a guy. Not the tier list that I thought he was going to be on top of, but you know what? Go off, queen. Kate Lockwell. I like her. I think she's, I think she has a very good personality. She, she's got that anti-Donnie, the rivalry with Dawn, which obviously knocks her down. She can't be S tier because of that, but I think she would be pretty easy to get along with. I think she'd be a little bit too much like, maybe she would hold you accountable for everything, and sometimes you just gotta let things go, but it is in her nature to be like, sure about that. She would double question your story, and like, you're like, oh, the cabinet is sideways, and you're like, okay, I'll fix it on Tuesday, and then Wednesday comes a bit and you just kind of forgot. You're like, oh yeah, my toe hurt, and I'll get to it today. He's like, why is your toe hurt? And it's like, okay, Kate, just leave it, I'll get it done, I promise. I don't remember you banging your toe on anything. You usually, if you do that, you usually scream out. I didn't hear anything. Kate, okay. But I think that overall she'd be pretty good as long as you don't try to make excuses like that. What is this, Kraith? Kraith has too many kids. Yeah, I think that all of the other primal pack leaders that are not Brack, because they like spawn too many. I guess Kraith doesn't spawn any babies in the fight, does he? He just brings his bros in. However, he's definitely the elephant in the China, or the bull in the China shop, right? He's a banger. He would break everything. From the little that we know about him, he would be very obnoxious to live with in that respect. So he's gonna go down. Is this Malash? Oh, I hope I'm not sure. I may have gotten these two mixed up. HIJKLM. Okay, so if it's alphabetical, then this would be first, and then Kraith, and then Malash. So I'm gonna just assume that this is correct. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna assume this is Malash. Malash is an evil sociopath who worships Amon. That's all we really know about him. I'm debating between these two. I'm gonna put him here because we just don't. No, you know what? He actively defrauds his followers despite knowing that that's not true. As a result, I'm gonna put him in F tier because he would lie to you all the time for his personal benefit. And we've established that unless it's claiming you bonked your toe in order to get out of fixing the cabinet, that is unacceptable. He needs to board with someone like Kate in order to straighten him out, and then he'll become a good citizen. Matthew Horner. I was gonna put his middle name in there. Don't know what it is off the top of my head. Good old Matt. I think Matt's a solid A tier. Matt would be a real good person to room with. He's very flexible. Once again, he just seems very easy to get along with. You see him hanging out with people all the time. He can be pretty judgmental though, like quick judgy. He was very judgy against Tosh. He was very judgy against Tychus. And both those times I would say his initial uptake on the characters was wrong. And that definitely knocks him a little bit down. I think that if he likes you, then he'd be very easy to live with. But that judgmental factor does make things a bit harder. Also, he's got a little bit of baggage in that Miron would be, I think Mira would be a menace to live with. I don't think she would make a mess everywhere, first of all. There would just be, it would be a total chaos. And she would not confine it to her room or anything like that. Her marauders would constantly just be like hanging out everywhere. The entire place would be just a jungle. It would be, for people that are super social and they like that sort of thing, it might actually be kind of nice. She would also just talk about Matt all the time. I don't want to talk about Matthew, okay? That's my middle name and it's weird when I hear it, first of all. But like, also, I just don't want to deal with it, Mira. You are a very funny character in short bursts. I'm gonna put you... Yeah, I think she would just be so... It would grate on you slowly. Zagara. For Zagara, I am gonna go towards the end of the campaign because she goes through multiple different phases, and I'm gonna go Epilogue Zagara. And I actually think that Epilogue Zagara would be A tier. You know, like, she's a little bit, sometimes she just doesn't get it. But, like, she's actually pretty chill at the end if she's not trying. She's definitely like okay, we gotta go get it, we gotta go do this thing at this point in time. And it's good to have someone like that sometimes, make sure stuff gets done. But she's also fairly inquisitive. She's, not huge enough that she would be awful. You know, you get someone like Kraith, and Kraith is he's never gonna fit anywhere. It's same reason that Brack is not S tier. He's not gonna fit in the house that well. It's gonna be annoying. She's big, but you could make it work, like if you lived in a stable. And I don't know, I think that she's actually fairly pleasant to talk to near the end of the campaign. She's a very reasonable person, and that's a pretty big thing when it comes to rooming, is just like the day-to-day interactions. So you know what? Zagara A tier. This is a weird A tier. This is a really weird one. Nova. I think Nova's really bland. I don't think there'd be any major issues, but I also just think she's not that interesting. So I'm gonna put her right here. I don't know who this is. Colonel Orland's just an idiot. Like, every time that he comes up, he's just dumb. So I'm gonna put him right here and just move on because no one cares. Oros. I don't know anything about Oros. The Overmind. Oh my. He can't be S tier because he's too big. And I don't want to live inside of the Overmind as a house. Oh gosh. I am having trouble conceptualizing what it would be to live with the Overmind. Except for the fact that I just keep thinking, it wouldn't be that bad, would it? It would be weird. But the Overmind, he's really competent. He's got a good personality for the most part. Like, all the time that we knew him, he was very busy with his job. But we're assuming that there's not a galactic war going on for the most part. I don't think he would be that bad. I'm going to put him in B tier. You know what? Go away. Because I don't think he would be Am I crazy? This is a stupid list. I'm going to put the extra Kerrigans in, I don't know. I think that, I think the Overmind would be fine to live with. Like, I can't think of anything bad about him. Besides the just huge amount of tissue that would exist. Just so much Overmind flesh. He's also not that useful, but yeah, I don't think it'd be that bad. You'd basically have the entire Zerg swarm at your beck and call if you needed something. That's pretty cool. Rashagal. Rashagal doesn't have a mouth, and yet every time you get home, there would still be fresh baked cookies because she's the Protoss grandma. And I think, like, she would take care of you. She would be a nice old lady. She would just be very happy to have the company. I think that Rashagal is actually A tier. She would be, she has a lot of wisdom, a lot of stories that she'd be able to tell. She seems very easy to get along with for the most part. And she, would just make sure that you're living a good life. She's already past her prime. And she would, she's already the caretaker of the Nerazim, right? And I think that would extend to whoever she's rooming with as well. It would be pretty good. Rohana, on the other hand, is the bad grandma. Like, Rashagal's good grandma, Rohana is bad grandma. In that she's just very, like, I know best because I've lived for so long, so listen to what I say, and I'm going to ignore the fact that society has changed. And it's like, Grandma, we don't use pagers anymore, okay? And she's like using those spinny telephones, rotary telephones, and she's like, why you kids have your cell phones? Why are you watching the YouTube on it? Listen, you just not, you gotta go to the park and play. And it's like, Rohana, I'm 32. I'm not gonna go to the park and play. I don't think she'd be awful, but she would definitely be fairly annoying and very stuck in her ways. So we have to drop her down to C tier. Is this more Kerrigan? You know what, more Kerrigan, whatever. Selendis. Now, Selendis is definitely, she strikes me as the type of person, and this is from her interactions with Jim in Wings of Liberty, because that's the only time that we get to see her as an actual character who's not mind controlled by Amon. As someone who is a hard ass, but if you gain her respect, she is she's A, competent, and B, would be pretty easy to live with. Like, you just have to make sure that that you're someone she respects. I think that's a lot of work for a roommate. I'm gonna put her in C tier as a result. Like, if you can get that to work, then yeah, sure, that's great. But like, I don't want to stress about that in my day-to-day life. I just want to play video games and maybe, I don't know, eat macaroni. Macaroni? I haven't had you know what? I'm gonna have macaroni tomorrow. Why not? I haven't had it in a long time. This is Sliven, the Primal Pack Leader. This is going to go in D tier for too many children. Like, if you're hatching hundreds of eggs, too many children. I would say this for Zagara, but she, has hatcheries for that, and the hatcheries, those are work, right? Like, that's basically her version of an office building. That's her 9 to 5. not really what's happening. Sliven, on the other hand, that's just a day-to-day. Every time that she like has to scratch an itch or something, she shakes a little bit, and then all the eggs fall off, and they're all banelings, and the banelings do bonus versus structure, so they're probably going to destroy your building. Yeah, that would be pretty bad. Sliven, you know what? Actually, I think she might have to be S tier or F tier because that is terrifying. Egon Stepman. Stepman kind of goes from being annoying to being psychotically crazy, depending on which point in the lore it is. And as a result, I don't think I can justify anything higher than D tier. The man is a menace to society, and he would be a little bit too difficult to live with, in my opinion. Better than Dr. Ariel Hansen because he would not get you killed. However, I think that I think that of the original Hyperion crew guys, he would probably be the roughest. Swan, on the other hand, would be just a good boy to live with. Like, I think it'd be loud to live with him, right? He's definitely... The way that I see the difference between Swan and Carax is when the microwave breaks down and it needs to be fixed, Carax is going to retreat into his room, and then the next day he's going to pop out and he's going to have the uber microwave that is solarite powered and can perfectly cook a Hot Pocket so that it's not molten in the middle. It's just properly melty and warm while being crispy on the outside. That's what he would come up with. Swan, on the other hand, when the microwave breaks, would fix the microwave. But it would take all night, and you'd constantly hear the like of, you know, he's just like the power tools constantly, the clanging, the bashing, the hammering. You don't get to sleep that night because it's so loud. You wake up the next morning, and that microwave works. It works very well. It's also got Durasteel plating plus 2 armor. But it's a bit more rough of a process to get there. But he is a fun guy as well. Like, he makes dumb jokes, and I like dumb jokes. Those are good. So I'm gonna give him that. This is not Phoenix, Taldarin. Yeah, I would give him a solid B tier. I think that he wouldn't be as good as like original Phoenix. There's just a little bit of like, this isn't fully your personality, and you're going to have to go through this entire journey of figuring out who you as a person are. And I think that's beautiful and wonderful, but it's not necessarily something that I want to have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, you know? Like, at some point, he's going to be like, well, maybe I like mariachi. So he starts joining a mariachi band. It's like, Phoenix, it's not really what we're here for. And he's like, oh, maybe it's ballet. Phoenix, it's not going to be ballet. Okay, you try you. Sorry, Taldarin. I don't want to misname you there. It just, it seems like it would be a little bit much as he tries to go on that journey of self-discovery. Something that you'd want to have in a friend, not necessarily in a roommate. This is Talus. Talus, I just don't know enough about. I don't really remember her personality at all. Tassadar. So Tassadar is a bro, obviously. Just like Phoenix, he gets along with Jim really, really well. We've seen that. He really likes the humans. He definitely has that sense of responsibility and duty that makes him a good person to live with. I think he's a bit preachy. I think that he wouldn't be as chill as Phoenix would. Phoenix is the type of guy who, you know, he'd be a little bit more fun and loosey-goosey to live with, while Tassadar is a step below him, but very similar in most ways because he's a little bit too serious all the time. So, yeah, we're going to go with that. Now, Gabriel Tosh. Tosh is a bro. He's super cool. I think he'd be a lot of fun to live with. Probably is committing some crimes, which is gonna demerit him a little bit. Like, I don't know what Spectres do, but they have a lot of expensive gear, and I don't know how they get it. They're probably, you know, he seems like the type of guy who'd be working for someone not necessarily legal. Like, I don't, the whole Spectre thing just concerns me a little bit. Also, they have to constantly be taking Jorium, I think it is, or no, not Jorium, Terrazine, that's the thing. Like, Terrazine, there'd have to be a lot of Terrazine in the house because that's what happens to humans, or that's what happens to Spectres to keep them from not going on psychotic rampages. That is part of the lore. That is definitely a liability in a way that I don't want to deal with. I think he'd be pretty cool to hang out with. He's a good guy. But it's like, I don't know, the risk is really high. In the same way that I think the risk is high from Tychus. Tychus is another fun boy. He's also just killed a lot of people. I mean, everyone here has killed a lot of people, but Tychus is like the human criminal who robs trains and stuff like that. Even if he's not a danger to you, I still kind of feel like it would be, his past might come back to haunt him in a way that would be tragic for him and very annoying for his roommates. And as a result, I think we're going to have to drop him down to C tier as well. This is a rune. I don't know about a rune. Crown Prince Valerian. Valerian is another one where I think Valerian's kind of boring as a person. However, he's also pretty nice. And he's a prince. But he's also a prince or an emperor, depending on things. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, it would be so annoying to have all of the fangirls showing up. Like, we know that Kate Lockwell is a Valerian fangirl. She would show up and be like, hey, is the prince home? Could I give him an interview? It's like, Kate, no, seriously, this is the 6th time this week. He just wants to eat his oatmeal in peace. And then if you ever get doxxed, you basically have to move. That'd be terrible. I don't want that to happen. So I think that he'd be, once again, very easy to live with, but he has a lot of potential risky baggage, so I have to bring him down. Vorzoon's fine. I mean, I don't see anything negative about her as a character for the most part that would be hard to live with, except for the fact that she's invisible. That'd be very spooky, but I think that I'm pretty sure that they can turn invisibility on and off at will. Still would be she's not really a prankster or anything, so I don't think it'd be too bad, but yeah, she's kind of bland, but she's not terrible by any means. Horace Warfield is like living with your War Hero grandpa. And honestly, War Hero Grandpa is best grandpa. So he's getting A tier right there. Easy peasy. The man is a legend, except he's War Hero Grandpa who, if something, he's the type of guy. Okay, so let's say that you're just living your life and then Comcast raises rates on you for your internet bill. He's not going to call Comcast. He's going to put on his power armor and he's walking over to Comcast headquarters. And he's going to make sure that that bill does not go up in price. And you know what? War Hero Grandpa, who's willing to... He's kind of like the cool grandpa counterpart to Rohana. Rashigal. Where Rashigal is the sweet grandmother who's going to make the cookies. And then Warfield is going to make sure that you're taken care of and nobody is going to screw you over. In fact, they would be the ultimate power couple right there. I ship it. Straight up, I do. This is what I've gotten from this video, is I think that the greatest power couple in the Krapulu sector would be being roommates with Rashigal and Warfield. Easy. Not a problem whatsoever. They'd be great together. I love it. And they love each other. You know what? I'm going to move Spawn out of the way. There you go. Yagdra. Once again, just too many children. Oh, these are different queens. I don't know enough about any of the other queens, so I'm assuming this is Zagara, but this one's probably Zagara because it's at the Z. This one's probably Noctool or something. Diadra. One of them. They don't really have enough personality outside of Zagara, so we gotta put the other one in, I don't know. Z for Zeratul. Okay, I like Zeratul as a character. I do, okay? I don't think he would be great to live with. He's very repetitive and rambly. he would just be gone for months at a time. He believes in stuff like prophecies, so probably when he makes it to human lands and he learns about horoscopes, he's going to think that those are real. And then you have to deal with him like frantically checking his horoscope every day. And he's just like, oh, I'm going to have bad luck today. Well, I'm going to stay in. And it's like, he's going to be worried about stuff the entire day because his horoscope isn't looking good. Or he's going to like, find true love on Flags Day is going to be his horoscope, and he's going to be frantically searching and bring you on this stupid adventure. I think that it would be a little bit too annoying, and I don't really want to deal with that. I think he's not a bad person. But once again, he comes with a lot of weird baggage. Zervan. Well, Zervan is another character who is willing to both A, eat you, and B, betray you, which is a very easy F tier. And then Donnie Vermillion straight into S tier. He has a lot of baggage, okay? Like, he has a lot of baggage, okay? Like, Donnie is a fun guy. He's very funny. But he's the type of guy who cries himself to sleep eating jars of peanut butter in front of the TV that he leaves on all night in the main room, and he really wants you to come out and talk to him, but it's like the third time this week and you just don't want to deal with it. And it's like, I gotta wake up early tomorrow, Donnie. I understand that you don't start your work until the evening because that's when UNN News is on, but the rest of us have things we have to do, okay? And as a result, he's not F tier, he's not liable to get you killed, but he would be emotionally draining to live with. And as a result, I'm sorry, Donnie. You know what? D tier for Donnie. That's fine. Looking back over this tier list for the greatest StarCraft roommate tier list of all time. I'm gonna put Brack up in S tier. Let's get some barbecue, baby. Woo!